Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Africa Today, where we get you the latest news and events taking place on the African scene. And we will start off with our major top stories and reports. Dear viewers, in this episode we will shed light on the current situation in Tunisia that is now grappling with a rise in infections of coronavirus after successfully containing it in the first wave last year. It imposed a lockdown in some cities starting last week, but rejected a full national lockdown over concerns about the impact on the economy in Tunisia. Now, the total number of coronavirus cases so far in Tunisia has climbed to around 480,000, with more than 16,000 deaths. But first, let's shed light on the latest developments and the most pressing water issues: the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Parliament Speaker Hanafi Gibeli stated on Sunday that Egypt has never stood against its brother's right to development. However, it rejects any infringement on the Nile water rights. Gibeli was referring to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which Addis Ababa hopes will make it Africa's largest power exporter and sees it as crucial to its development efforts. Earlier, Senegal's President Macky Sall voiced his country's full support to the Egyptian people's eternal rights in the River Nile's water and the Senegalese endeavor to highlight this support in the events related to the African Union and the United Nations. We have more details on this report.
Senegal's President Macky Sall said finding a radical solution to the drug crisis between Egypt, Sudan and Ethiopia will be on top of the African Union's EU priorities in 2022 during his country's presidency of the grouping. At a meeting with the Trade Minister Nivin Gema in Dakar on Saturday, Sall voiced Senegal's full support to the Egyptian people's eternal rights to the Nile River and to the Senegalese endeavor to highlight the support in the event related to the EU and the UN. Sall noted that prioritizing a radical solution to the drug crisis aims to preserve the historic rights of the Egyptian people, affirming that this is the right approach that all parties have to stick to. Rounds of African Union-sponsored talks have reached the deadlock under the presidency of South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in 2020 and incumbent chair Antonio Tshisekedi of DR Congo. The two downstream countries have blamed the failure of talks on Ethiopia's intransigence and desire to impose fait accompli. As per the request of Egypt and Sudan, the United Nations Security Council UNSC held a session on Thursday to discuss the dirt. The two countries affirmed that their movements in the UNSC aim to enhance the African track to resume the negotiations and reach a binding solution. Despite the concerns and objections of the two downstream countries, Ethiopia notified them last week that it started the second phase of filling the Megra Dam without a legally binding agreement, a step that was highly condemned by Egypt and Sudan. Gama delivered a message from President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to Sall, hailing the level of coordination and continuous communication between the two countries around regional and international issues of mutual concern. The President in the message expressed Egypt's aspiration to work with Senegal to enhance the bilateral relations in various fields with the aim of achieving prosperity of the two countries' peoples.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and still with our special reports and moving on to hepatitis C in Africa. Egypt sent a shipment of full doses of hepatitis C medicine to treat 11,000 patients in total as part of Egypt's initiative to treat 1 million hepatitis C patients in the African continent. Health Ministry spokesman Khalid Megahed said in a statement that the shipments arrived at Khartoum airport on Wednesday morning and were delivered using the Egyptian Armed Forces military planes. We have more details on this report.
Minister of Health and Population Hana Zaid has met with her Sudanese counterpart Omar al-Najib to discuss the presidential initiative to treat 1 million people with hepatitis C in Sudan. Earlier, Zaid received al-Najib at her ministry headquarters to discuss ways of joint cooperation as part of the depth and interdependence of relations between Egypt and Sudan. The cooperation also aims to build the bridges of cooperation between the two countries. Zaid confirmed that an Egyptian delegation recently completed preparations for 5 centers in Sudan to work on the initiative and to train local doctors on the diagnostic and treatment protocols. The ministry also referred to the provision of the PCR tests and medical regions, in addition to providing enough drug doses to treat 150,000 Sudanese citizens. She also affirmed that President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's keenness to provide all means of health support to Sudan in a way that contributes to supporting the health system there. This is based on the joint responsibility between the two countries and Egypt's leading role in the African continent. Khaled Megahed, spokesperson for the Ministry of Health and Population, said that the meeting dealt with discussing files of joint cooperation between the two sides to support the health sector in Sudan in the areas of combating infectious and epidemic diseases and professional medical education, in addition to setting the pharmaceutical industry in the sister country and exchanging experiences between the two countries in the confronting the novel coronavirus COVID-19 and providing vaccines. He indicated that the meeting also dealt with cooperation between the two countries in the fields of medicines.
Welcome back, and as we mentioned earlier at the beginning of our episode, we're going to be shedding more light on the current situation in Tunisia and with regards to the coronavirus in specific. Egypt is among several countries promised to help Tunisia fight the coronavirus, as the North African country recorded its highest daily tally and death toll since the pandemic began, putting its healthcare system under severe stress and depleting oxygen supplies. Tunisia recorded 189 deaths on Friday, the highest daily toll since the pandemic began last year. It reported 8,500 new coronavirus cases. So far, only 715,000 Tunisians have received 2 doses of the vaccine out of a total of 11.6 million residents. We have more details.
Health Minister Hala Zaid announced on Saturday the dispatch of over 31 tons of medical aid to Tunisia to support its health sector's efforts to face the coronavirus pandemic. The medical aid comes in accordance with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's directives, highlighting the depth and interdependence of relations between the two countries. After its successful campaign against the pandemic last year, Tunisia's health system is currently collapsing due to a hike in the number of the daily coronavirus infections and death, as well as the severe shortage of oxygen supplies. On Friday, the North African country recorded 189 deaths, the highest daily toll since the pandemic began last year, and 8,500 new coronavirus cases, raising its tally of infections to 480,000 with more than 16,000 deaths. Health Ministry spokesperson Khaled Megahed said in the statement that Egypt's shipment of the medical aid will arrive in Tunisia on board 2 military planes in coordination with Egyptian armed forces. Megahed also stressed the importance of maintaining the air bridge between the two countries to transfer medical aid from Egypt to meet the needs of Tunisia's health system. Several other countries promised to help Tunisia fight the coronavirus. President Qais Said said in a statement that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had pledged to send vaccinations and whatever medical equipment Tunisia needed, adding that Libya officials and local media said that Kuwait, Turkey and Algeria had promised to help too. Qatar had already sent a military plane with a field hospital on board, including 200 medics and 100 respirators.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and we're joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to the Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
How are you, sir? Ambassador Bayoumi, the current situation in Tunisia, as we've seen from the report, is deteriorating regarding the coronavirus. After they have successfully contained the first wave. However, they are now facing a difficult time with regards to the coronavirus. How do you see the situation in Tunisia, sir?
It is our duty, of course, to help our neighbor brothers in Tunisia for several reasons. One is it is a friendly and brotherly country. We have the duty to do this. Second, that in the epidemic of corona, if you help your neighbor, you help yourself also.
Yes.
Because it is a disease which is affecting all over the world, and
Sure.
it has no border. So if we face it in China, we are helping Egypt, of course. And Tunisia, of course, is a big priority for our foreign policy, and a member in the League of Arab States. And we are in a direct consultation for many things concerning the disease, concerning the economic effects on the economy here and there.
Yes.
Also, Tunisia, Egypt, Jordan, and Morocco are members of what we call Agadir Group, Economic Agadir Group, which is in full consultation in economics and development projects also. So
Right.
It's not strange that we are trying to help ourselves when we are trying to help Tunisia.
Sir, how do you see the impact of the coronavirus on the African economy in general? I mean, not only Tunisia, but also other African countries.
It is a big problem because the lack of the medicine also is another problem.
Yes.
The whole world, the Group 7 and the Group 20, the World Bank and the IMF, all of them are trying to present finance to make the medicine available in all the African countries. Africa is the poorest continent in the world. On the other hand, of course, because of the closure of the borders, the disease has, of course, an economic impact, negative economic impact in all economies. Thank God that Egypt is not among those who are affected badly of the disease, whether it's medical background or its negative economic impact. We
Right.
are standing on strong foot because of our economic reform,
Yes.
which is really put us in a better situation than any country in the world.
Yes. Well, I would like to thank you very much, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to the Foreign Minister. Many thanks for your insight. And dear viewers, that brings us to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up here on Nile TV International.